Ugh. So, I got off of my normal job and knew that this movie, Artemis Fowl, it was being released onto Disney Plus, and I was interested because I really love Disney movies, and I really like to see most movies that come out anyways. But Disney is a kind of sacred thing for me. It's something that I've always loved. Even some of the bad Disney stuff I enjoy, and Artemis Fowl again was gonna go to theaters, but then that thing that's going on right now made it not go to theaters. And honestly, for the reasonings this is put on Disney Plus, I feel like was kind of a good thing for this movie because this movie would have been another Wrinkle in Time or another Nutcracker and the Four Realms. It would have been another one of those movies where it it would have bombed in the theater. It is one of those Disney things that Disney for some reason still puts out these live action movies that really tank at the box office whenever they're in theaters. So it's so weird that they're doing it again with this movie, but then of course that thing happened in the world, so now we don't have it. But it's so strange that Disney has done this time and time again in all these box office failures of these live action movies. It's really strange because I guess they have enough money to make ends meet whenever like these movies fail, but it's just so weird that they put out these kind of movies. So, I've got a list of notes right here that I am interested because I am already tired and I want to talk about the weird ass things about this movie. So the movie is based on a plot where this character played by Josh Gad narrates the story, and Josh Gad in this looks like Jack Black now, which is strange. He looks just like Jack Black with a giant beard, like Jack Black does right now. Um, and the weird thing is when the movie starts, it's got like a title cards that are like so incredibly like lame and bland, and I was surprised. I was like, there's no like big title cards for this Disney movie. Like I just expected that because Disney usually does that. And the idea of this movie, I don't know what the hell happened in this movie. I don't even know what the movie was really about, besides the fact that Artemis Fowl, this scientist kid or genius kid, he he has his dad go missing and he has to go find him. And he's got a mega mind, like he's it's the smartest kid ever. And it's based on a book series that I remember hearing about whenever I was a kid. So this might have been 10 or 15 years ago. And it's weird because this movie feels like it's from 10 to 15 years ago. Even though it was made now, it feels like it was from 10, 15 years ago. The CG in this is really, really weird. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not good. It's very strange. And the movie, again, it looks really weird. It feels like it's from the early 2000s. It feels like the first Harry Potter movie, where the first Harry Potter movie, the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, whatever you want to say, it it has some CGI that's not dated as well as some of the other Harry Potter movies. And this feels like it's just from 2001, and it's so weird because this is a book series that I heard as a kid, never read them whenever Harry Potter was big. And I guess after 15 years, they're like, let's try to make this a franchise. Let's sequel bait it, of course, because it's probably more than one book. I don't even know. I'm assuming it's more than one book. I'm assuming it's a book series, but um, this is very similar to Harry Potter, but without the charm, without anything that is unique about it. This movie is just bland exposition throughout. There's no line that made me care about any of these characters. There's no line that made me even feel like they were characters. And it's such a shame because, again, you can make something work, but it just didn't work. And it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is good and who makes good movies. And it's weird that he has a movie like this. And I'm not saying all his movies are good, but he has some movies that aren't that good. But this is the worst one I think I've seen of his so far. It's weird that this, like I said, this went to Disney Plus because I think they had no faith in this after this thing happened. They're like, let's just dump it on streaming service, which some movies are good on streaming service. A lot of them are not, but it's funny. They really had no faith in this. I think they had no faith in the project regardless. This feels so much like A Wrinkle in Time or The Nutcracker and The Four Realms. Again, those movies are just recent ones that I remember. They're very bland, they're very boring, they're very uninteresting. They rely on way too much CGI. There's no characters in these movies, and this movie is no different. It's just there's no characters. Um, it has so many terrible jokes. It's so unfunny. There's nothing that makes me laugh. And even as a kid, I don't know if kids would laugh at these jokes. Maybe. I mean, that's fine if they do, but I don't. I don't really see that. The movie to me, in a nutshell, was an exposition story with a lot of mindless CGI that just made my head hurt. Is what this movie was. It was nothing interesting or special at all. They didn't do anything that made me think this movie is memorable. Besides a couple things that I have seen already online before I even watched this movie, there is a moment in this movie where Josh Gad pulls his jaws to where his mouth is like this far down and really giant. It's such a weird, bizarre CG shot, but like people are already talking about it. It's like, what? And then right after that, immediately Josh Gad's character uses his hairs on his head and his nose hairs to open a lock. I'm not joking. Like, he uses his nose hairs come out, fly, and like open up this lock, and as well as his long hairs, like all of his hairs on his face, including inside his nose, just go and unlock this thing. What? This is so weird. It's such a bizarre movie. It doesn't do anything that I enjoyed. It's really sad, honestly, because again, Kenneth Branagh, you thought he could make something with this, but it's just an example of a visual feast, and the visual does not look good. The visuals don't look that good, and it's just exposition. There's no care put in these characters. There's nothing that in the dialogue makes you care about them, or at least me. There was nothing good about this movie. I thought this movie was terrible, and I really could not stand it. It's Disney at its worst. Not complete worst, like overall, I mean, but like it's Disney at its worst whenever it's just exposition, no characters, no performances that make it interesting. There's nothing that makes this movie stand out from any other movie like this one. There's nothing that made it immediately watchable or interesting. It was just so incredibly dull, bland, and boring and forgettable. Like, I just finished it, and I'm honestly kind of grasping at something else to say about it. Besides Josh Gad making the weird, like, pulling his jaw down to here and, like, having a mouth this big. Like, what the fuck? That's so weird. It's such a bizarre, bad movie. Like, and it's not enjoyable. It was not fun. Like, there are some bad, enjoyable Disney movies that I can enjoy. I actually watched Darby O'Gill and the Little People for the first time, and that movie is weird. Like, it's got its charm because it's from the 50s, early 60s, and it's got some weird ass shit in it, but it feels like it's more natural than this. All these characters feel so unnatural, and even though this is a fantasy movie, there's nothing that is special about this movie. It is so forgettable. It's so worthless. It's weird I really don't like this one as much as I did, but man, this one really, really blew. It was pretty bad. Really didn't like this one. There might be people who will enjoy this, and if you do, tell me down below. I'm not gonna try to. If you like it, that's awesome. I'm glad that you do. But for me, I really did not like this movie. It was not anything that I enjoyed. I thought it was terrible. Not my cup of tea. Disney-ness at its worst for me personally.